Hi, this is Kristy. Have you ever thought about the power of words? Have you ever felt almost the energy of certain words? That's what I want to talk a little bit about tonight because I find this really fascinating. And I really do believe in the power of words and our word choices and just the energy and things in general. And I wanted to talk about that. There was a study, and it's kind of controversial, but it's really a neat study to think about by Dr. Masaru Emoto. I hope I said his name right. And he did a water crystal study where he had petri dishes, and he had a very cool room and everything like that, and he had some slow motion cameras, and he had people think positive words of love and healing and things of that while they were around the water and projecting it towards the water. I'll leave a link about more details about the study. And then he froze the water, and he captured the crystallization of the water. And then on the flip side of that, he did the same thing, but had people emote or wrote on the outside of the dishes and things of that nature, very hurtful words, hate, anger, war, things like that. And then the crystals that formed were less symmetrical and more disturbed, and they just weren't as beautiful. And so that was a really interesting type of concept to think about, that the words have that much power. So whether you believe in the study and the effect on the water or not, think about words that you don't like. We all have words that we don't like, that we just don't want to hear, whether they're racial slurs or swear words or taking the Lord's name in vain or things like that. Just think about how they make you feel in the pit of your stomach, in your heart. They don't make you feel good, and that's the energy of those words. And then think about words that really do make you feel good. Joy, puppies, kittens, babies, sunshine, rainbows. Think about words like that, and so you can even see me smiling because I like those words and they make me feel good, and I'm getting the energy from those words. So when we think about words like that, think about the power of our words and think about how we talk about ourselves, how we talk about other people. And the thing that's interesting about the power of words too is words that may be more neutral may still have a triggering point or energy towards another person based on the intent, either the intent that was given or the intent that was received. Because somebody can say something to us that isn't a negative, isn't a slight, but if we receive it and we assign the intention and assign the negativity to those words, then we're going to absorb that negative energy. So think about words and phrases in your life that you use. There's a great one that I like from James Clear, again, another one of my favorites from him, talking about the power of words when you're making choices, dietary choices, exercise choices, choices for your habits in your life, and think about I can't versus I don't. When you say I can't, you're saying that there's something outside of you that is stopping you from doing it. I can't have that donut. I can't have that cookie. I can't run fast. I can't remember things. You're just giving away the power. Versus if you say I don't want that cookie, I don't need that cookie, or any of those types of words, you're making a stand, and it's a much more empowered word. Another example I use with my client, and this one's powerful too, is good versus bad. And I try, I'm not always successful, but I try not to talk about foods in terms of good or bad, because when we do that, then that can add shame and a negative feeling towards something. We say, oh, that food's bad for you, or I made a bad choice, or I'm eating bad, or anything like that. Those choices can have additional connotations and emotional impacts on you. So that's why, the choice of words about food, is this food going to nourish me or not? Is this food, support my body? And think of it in that term instead of assigning a good or a bad. So those are some of the ways that I can think of easily in the energy of the words and the choices of the words that you're taking. The next thing I wanted to talk about is how we talk about ourselves. Oftentimes, we are harsher with ourselves, and the mental talk and the self-talk that we have is much harsher with ourselves than it would ever be towards a dear friend or a family member. And I wonder why that is. And I challenge you to think about thoughts that you have about yourself, and think, would you say that to a friend? Would you say that to someone that you care about? And if you wouldn't, then don't say it to yourself either. I did an exercise with the Lou Tice Institute, and this is something to think about. It's a great way to try to capture how often you're having these negative thoughts or you're saying negative things, and that's by putting a rubber band around your wrist. And this was great when we did this in a group environment, because we don't even realize the things that we're saying that are negative, that are either about ourselves or just that have a negative tone or a negative energy. And when we were wearing the rubber bands, you could reach over and snap somebody else's rubber bands and snap them out of it. That's a way to think about it, if that might be something that might work for you to help bring that awareness and things to the word choices. I challenge you to do that. The client that I worked with, and we were talking about the goods and the bad foods, she asked her husband to help her identify it. And she was like, wow, I didn't realize how often